Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to the K&R and Scenic Valley Railroad build. In the previous installment I got most of the track done on the middle level. For this week's video I am going to take care of a whole load of little bits and pieces, including finishing off the middle level track and bridge installation, all the wiring, setting up the control system, installing switch machines, and of course a whole lot of testing. Initially I was going to lump the fascia into this video as well, but the video got rather long, so I decided to split it, and I will take care of the fascia next week. So without further ado, let's just head out to the workshop and get busy. Well, if you recall, on Friday I finished the track laying through the summer diorama and over this truss bridge. I haven't been out here for a few days. It's now Tuesday already, but I had stuff to do inside. Today's goal is to get this area finished. I just have a few more yards of track to put in before the track laying on level 2 is done. About 5 feet of double track main line across the back and over the plate girder bridge, and about the same length along the front over the trestle. This 2-foot piece here is not glued down yet. It's just an offcut. I had the right length, I just put it in place. And this piece isn't glued either. The trestle should be fairly straightforward because I already built the footings some time ago. But this bridge still needs work. I don't yet have any structure underneath it to support the bridge abutments. What I've got to do is figure out where they go and put shelves in on these two pieces here. This one is perpendicular to the track and therefore the bridge abutment can go against it with a flat spacer. This one is at an angle, so it's more work there. And you may notice that they are on two different benchwork sections. Not as though it makes a lot of difference, especially since it will be removed for transportation anyway. Well, the plate girder bridge at the back of the scene has now been installed. You can see here I've got shelves for the bridge abutments to sit on, both sides. I needed a little bit of packing that side because it was a little bit short. And this side I had to trim a little bit. So the rails run all the way across the top. Perfect alignment. And this is how I do my power district joints. I have 2 copper ties glued to a piece of 20 thou plastic to make up the difference. And they are gapped and soldered to the rails. Well, I just remembered that I still needed to paint bridge shoes for the trestle. As we can see, I don't have any in there. And while I waited for the paint to dry, I have got the track ready. I had to carefully bend a piece of bridge track. It's the Micro Engineering Code 83. And it does bend quite nicely. You just have to take your time and do it slowly. And of course, with the compound curve and easement through the trestle, it took me a few attempts to get it right by trial and error. Anyway, I also had to add a 2-inch piece to the end, so I'm going to have to thin down some ties and slip those in later. Anyway, I think the bridge shoes should be dry by now, or dry enough anyway, so I'm going to get those installed and then I'll be right back. Well, I've glued the bridge shoes in place, 2 at each end. I needed to get the trestle upside down, so I put it on this flat area. The bricks are a little bit further apart than the width of the tower at that point. The idea being that they're not doing anything at the moment unless it gets knocked. That will just stop it falling over. Anyway, until that glue has set up nice and hard, all I can sensibly do is wait. So I'm just going to go in and get some lunch, and I'll be out later. Don't go away. Well, the bridge shoes are glued in place. The abutments have been trimmed and fitted. I've cut the sub road bed back here just in case I want to add some retaining wall to that. The other end I already did previously, and I'm just test fitting the track one last time just to make sure nothing has changed, and I'm now ready to glue that in place. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Well, that track is now glued in place over the trestle. I'm using the same crafter's pick. Just put a thin bead along the top of each girder. You can see the white residue between the ties, although it will dry clear. And I've weighted it down. That is actually quite a lot of weight there, proving that the trestle is indeed structurally sound. So now I have to carefully add the bits of track at the ends without disturbing it. So let me do that quickly and I will be right back. Well, the last pieces of track on this second level are now installed. I guess it's now time to get out the wire and start dropping feeders. Since there isn't really a lot to see, I'm just going to quietly get on with that, and I'll let you know how it goes later on, so don't go away. Well, if we look around under the roadbed, around the benchwork, we can see that I have got all the feeder wires in. I have finished soldering the top end of all of them to the rail, although I have not yet hooked up any of them underneath yet. Before I do that, I want to get the control system hooked up and tested, because that came back a couple days ago, so I can do that now. But that is a task for tomorrow, because I am already overdue for feeding the dogs. I need to get in, and I've got a whole lot of other work to take care of inside tonight. So don't go away, I will check in with you again tomorrow. Well, as I mentioned yesterday, the control system that I sent in for repairs has been returned from the manufacturer. Unfortunately, the 6-pin plug that goes in here is missing. They haven't sent it back, so I still can't use it. I have sent an email to Digitrax asking them to send me another one as soon as possible, but in the meantime I'm just going to have to get out my temporary system again and use that instead. So let me switch them over one more time and I'll be right back. Well, as you can probably hear from the sound-equipped locomotive behind me, I have my backup system hooked up again, but this time in the DCC cabinet. I've had to install jumpers between all the power districts because I don't have any power district managers for this system. So at the moment everything is effectively one power district. But at least I can get on with hooking up the feeders and testing them as I go. Next step is to get the switch machines installed. I've got the one for the logging spur and 8 for the crossovers. So I brought all the supplies out that I needed. I've already mounted the octopus board to a piece of plywood for easier installation. But now I've just realised that I haven't finished assembling them because all I've done is glued them to the brackets. So I'm going to take those back inside and assemble the switch machines, get them to the same state as this one. And then I'll be back out tomorrow, because by the time I've done that there won't be enough daylight left. Anyway, despite the slow start this morning with the control system, I'm reasonably happy with the day's progress. So don't go away, I will check in with you again tomorrow. Yes, I know it looks a real mess right now. I elected to work with the board right side up on top of the bench work to get everything worked out where everything had to be connected. I've still got the switchboards hanging down. Those will be used to control frog polarity. But before I get too many wires in this situation, I'm going to get what I have neatly installed. I've also decided to run the logging spur turnout off the same octo board. just running long wires around the corner. It's easier that way because the octo board is so easy to program. It's a lot easier than the single or the quad. Well, the area has now been fully wired up. All the switches are tested. All the frog polarity has been tested through both directions. Rather than mount these little tiny boards the way they're intended, I just put a wire tie around a small piece of plywood and then put one screw into the benchwork. Made it a lot easier and quicker than mounting them on the very tiny screws that I can't use the power screwdriver for. After finishing the switch machines yesterday, I decided that I wanted to get the staging yard isolating sections done, and to do that means mounting switches in this area, and of course I need to mount a piece of fascia to mount them on. So I had to figure out how high the fascia is going to be at this point, bearing in mind that there is going to be a freeway overpass, and all these curved pieces, all these formers have been installed. I also prepped a piece of fascia yesterday. I cut it to approximate size. So here is my piece of fascia. It's still a little bit on the high side, the idea being that it's easier to cut down later than it is to add more. And I've got my row of holes for the switches. and I painted the area black so that when it's time to paint the fascia, all I have to do is mark off the switches. Well, I have 2 switches mounted. Unfortunately, I can't finish this project today because of the 25 switches that I purchased, 23 of them are the wrong size. They don't match the hardware that was sent with them. Anyway, I've got on the phone to customer support at All Electronics, and they're going to send me some more, but unfortunately they won't be here for a few days, so this project is basically on hold until they arrive. So I'm just going to have to find something else to get on with, and I'll check in with you again later. Well, this is as far as I can get in this area for now. I have already run all the wires from the front of benchwork into looms and around the back down to the lower level. I've elected to use the 14 gauge bus wire all the way from the bottom as far as here, and then put a terminal block in and just use the 20 gauge wire for the last few inches to the switches. That way I'm not going to run it into a voltage drop situation. Anyway, as I said, that's all I can do on that project, so I have elected to continue working on fascia. I've just cut some former pieces for this area, and I can get the fascia in to about here where the curve starts. I haven't worked out the benchwork in this area yet. That's something else I have to do. But I want to get the fascia in on the rest of the middle level so that I can get all the controls mounted permanently. And here are the mounting cups that I need. I've just spray painted them. Normally they come bright green. You may be able to see there's a few places where the green still shows through, so it's going to need another coat. Anyway, my plan for this afternoon is to get the fascia in all the way from here around to at least here where the step is. That way on Monday I can get all the fascia control. Well, that is all for this installment. I hope you've enjoyed it or found it useful, or both. Next week I will be installing fascia and getting the turnout controls mounted on it. So I hope to see you back then, and I will just sign off here. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.